This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
BooBaes. Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we're here to talk to you about some more found footage horror spookies.
Spooky,
Spooky.
docu style.
Yeah. Definitely
spooky,
docu style.
Like horror, like ghost show. Like when they see ghost, paranormal activity type show. Almost. Yeah. But centered heavily around what was her last name?
Palmer
family, yes. We have family of four: Alice, June, Matthew, and what was Daddy's name? Daddy
Russell.
Palmer. Russell Palmer, and just kind of like
Robert.
No. Something with an R. Rogue. No. Follows a family and the aftermath of them unfortunately losing their daughter to a drowning incident.
And despite what the title, which is Lake Mungo, by the way, the drowning does not happen in Lake Mungo.
No.
So that was confusing for me.
You.
I thought it was going to be in Lake Mungo.
Or have more of a precipice, like more.
Yeah. Have more, because honestly, it was
in the dam, right?
Yeah, it happened in the dam.
But that water has to be fed from a river, I guess, not a lake. Huh?
Yeah, and the Lake Mungo was dried up.
Oh, that's true, because that's where they went to go, and then they buried everything.
Yeah, unless it looked like a dry lake bed to me, but it was all like dark, so you couldn't really tell.
Yeah,
but.
No,
yes, I just thought Lake Mungo would have more...
something to do with the story itself.
With the story, yeah.
No, I can see that.
You could have called this The Dam.
Yeah, or just what the fuck happened to Alice?
Yeah.
Why do we see Alice?
Where did Alice go? Where did Alice come from? Where did she come from? Where did she go? Where did Alice go? Cotton Eye Joe.
Something like that. Yeah, that's a good remix. Directed by Joel Anderson, written by him as well. And his only movie up until apparently he's the one who made Night with the Devil.
Oh.
Yeah, that was just released. So literally 2 films. Just
under his belt. Nice. Starring Talia Zucker.
Yes, Talia Zucker.
Martin Sharp.
David Pledger.
Rosie Traynor.
And Steve Jodrell. I think something like that.
There was like a lot of cast, but also not a lot of cast.
Yeah, no, it was.
There were a lot of names thrown around, and I tried to write down everyone's names, but then there were like definitely some times where I forgot their names.
Yeah, and
it was just like, this person did this, but
or kind of like when like the grandma would come on, the grandma and grandpa and stuff,
yeah,
or then other people, and then how like we had the Tuies, but then they weren't even like. They were names, but we never even saw them. I guess because they're on the run, right?
Yeah.
But still, there was a lot thrown in there. And yeah, at times this movie made me feel like really like creeped out. But then there were other times that I was kind of like, it was still really entertaining, but I wasn't necessarily spooky. You know what I mean? Like it almost gave like really drama. Like it was just really heavy. And then especially because they're dealing with like the death of their daughter and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie definitely isn't like scary per se. It is unsettling or eerie, and it does have some moments where it made me be like, oh shit, that's a little weird. But then like all of the pictures lost credibility for me whenever we figured out the like little twist.
Yeah.
And so then even the ones that they showed afterwards, I'm like,
well, it doesn't seem real.
Fake.
Yeah. Prove it.
Yeah. But it was, I mean, but then like it was still showing her in like other areas, but I'm like, who's to say that he couldn't have manipulated it to have her in multiple areas?
There were a lot of ideas going on in this movie because it's trying to present it as like an actual real thing that's happened, and we're seeing something happen to this family, and then you have the supernatural element of like her ghost stuff happening. But then of course then like he proves that it's not actually happening, but then it is actually happening. But then Alice is also somehow, is she seeing herself from the future? Is what they were gisting, right? Like time travel.
Very Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
Reminded me of what's her face? Nell.
The broke neck lady.
Yeah, bent neck lady.
Where it was like
and then also her mom and her were like connected via dream and in the astral plane. Like whenever they're under that slight hypnosis from Ray, and they're like at the end, she's like, we find out that Alice had gone to see Ray as well. And she's like saying, there's somebody coming down the hall and she's leaving. She's gone. It's like she was like in the future with, and then like the first time I think June saw Alice in the room because
of what Alice's dream was with her crying.
Yeah. And then their dreams were connected. But like, I think she saw Alice in the room the first time because Alice like previously went in with Ray and did that hypnosis thing. And they were in there like time, even though it didn't happen at the same time in the astral world, it happened at the same time.
I get what you mean.
And which is just a mind fuck. And then, then their dream, like whenever we're reading on May 12th or whatever from Alice's journal, the like idea of her having this dream and going and something's wrong with her and then standing at the foot of her parents' bed. And then her mom, after her death, having these same nightmares of her like dripping wet from the dam, standing at the foot of their bed. Like, I think astrally, like it was all happening simultaneously, but it wasn't
at the same time.
Yeah. Which is, it just is like a mind fuck of time and what is time and everything like that.
It's cycle.
So it had, time is not linear. It had a lot of ideas in that regards too that were pretty cool to be thinking about. That were also very subtle and like not explicitly told to you. Like they didn't make a big deal out of it, but they hinted towards it.
No, it was more like Matthew was kind of like even towards the end just being like alluding to it, but so nonchalantly, and it was for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, you have to be paying attention, otherwise it's not going to make sense to you.
Talking about her cell phone video and how he believes he saw herself drowning, like the drowned version of herself.
Yeah,
she saw her death essentially
coming to essentially warn her or something, and that's what she knew. And buried all of her stuff, which
makes no sense. Why would you bury your stuff, even if it's a part of a ritual? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be
I was very confused as to why she buried her stuff.
I was like, maybe because there seems to be, maybe we're getting way ahead of ourselves talking about all of this.
Yeah.
But I feel like there needs to be a sequel, like Mungo, like where it's just like actually diving into that. And maybe while they were at that little whatever place they were at, something, or there's a cult there or something, a group there that she made contact with. And that's why she was burying stuff. And that's why she ended up dying or something. Or maybe she's not even dead.
Yeah.
Like maybe that body, even though they DNA tested it, I don't know, super magically, whatever, could not be her body or someone else. And yeah. So that's cool. There's a lot of stuff going on. So maybe
I like the idea that she was connected to like some sort of cult or something that told her that like once she saw, but then also with like all the friends being there, like I don't know when she would have had time to slip away.
The friends are in on it, 2 or 3 or 4 of them or something. Then they were kind of just then the cult were purposely like, you got to be in that docu whatever to make stuff look normal, to divert attention from us. And they're like, oh yeah, she was totally a normal girl, we're all normal, hee like,
they sacrificed her, actually
literally.
They were in the bottom of the lake, pulled her down.
It's the prime minister's daughter, and like not the prime minister, but whatever, the head, the whatever. What are cult leaders, what are they called?
Cult leaders.
That's it.
God.
There's like a title, king.
King, God.
God, all of them. Well, yeah.
It depends on what the cult is about.
That's true. That's a whole
The
separate
Messiah.
podcast. Oh, that's Christianity.
Which is also.
And so we'll just start with the movie. It's opening up like a true crime docu-style series where, you get some characters kind of, they're not even being named who they are yet, but they're just describing what they're going through. It's the family, right?
Yeah. We're getting snapshots of what they say later on, like, because everything that was said here at the beginning, we get back at later in the movie. And so, like, we get Alice at first saying, I feel like something bad is going to happen to me. Like, it hasn't happened yet, but it's coming for me, or something like that. And we get, I think it was the neighbor, or not the neighbor, Kimmy Whittler, something with a W.
The friend? Or is it
the friend of her boyfriend.
Yeah.
The sister of her boyfriend.
Yeah. The blonde girl.
Yeah.
The short hair. Bob.
She says something like Alice kept secrets. Even the fact that she kept secrets, she kept a secret kind of thing. And then we do get the diegesis saying, in December 2005, a tragic accident began a series of extraordinary events that thrust a grieving family in the small Victorian town of Ararat into the media spotlight.
Yep.
It was a paragraph. I paused it and wrote it all down.
And thankfully you did, because I didn't remember all of that. But yes, it's setting up the scene. And then right after that, we get... cutting to images and then a 911 call over. And then, which is June, basically, saying that her daughter, she's missing. She has not come home. She was at the dam.
And it was December 21st, 2005.
And we get a little title card.
Simple.
It's very, just literally
text on a black
font.
screen. Yeah.
And then we get like news clips of news footage of them covering the scene of, an unfortunate, thing is happening right now. Poor little Alice is falling down the well, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so having all that happen and the family getting interviewed and just basically explaining kind of the events of that day and what was happening and their circumstances.
Yeah. And we get like Maddie saying that they were... They called him Maddie a lot at the beginning, but then they switched to Matthew throughout the rest of the film. So
I just called him Matt.
Yeah. I called him Maddie, Matt, Matthew. I called him all of the things. The brother. But yes, he was saying like they went swimming together and then he was going to head back into shore and that she said that she was going to stay behind or something. And he was like, okay. And just swam back. And then all of a sudden he looked back whenever he got to the shore and she was gone.
Yeah.
So she seemingly disappeared out of the middle of a lake.
In the blink of an eye. And the dam, middle of the dam.
Damn.
And so we are also interviewing...
what was the name of that one movie?
Which one?
The one with the lady who gave birth. And they go into we covered it and it's like from Britain or something.
The canal?
The canal.
Oh, can you hear me?
No.
Oh, no. What did I do? Oh, there you go. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay. A little glitchy there. The canals. The canal. The canal.
Canal.
The canal. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a movie that I totally forgot about her giving birth.
Yeah, that part's
to that thing
scorched into my memory.
Yeah, and
I can never forget it.
We have
haunts me.
Grandma and Grandpa getting interviewed as well,
and Georgie as well. Who I guess Georgie just worked with June. But Georgie was like awfully nosy. I guess she was coming over to help a lot and stuff. But then, like at one point, she's like, "I can't help them because they don't believe in God."
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, because she was like, I was consulting people at church and I just don't know what to do. Yeah. She's like, quite frankly, I don't know what June does believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, damn, that felt a little, I don't know. Felt a little.
She was judgy. Yeah. Some subtle shade there.
Yeah.
And so they are, I think the boyfriend gets interviewed, right? At one point. And then we have the dad getting asked about, I don't remember how it gets brought up, but the interviewer asked him like how he leaves the porch light on.
Yes.
And then what happened before that?
Sorry. I thought it was so bizarre that they told them to go home while search and rescue looked for her. Like if it was me, I probably wouldn't go home. And
most of the time the family and other people are like a part of the search. But
yeah,
I think
but
also
you can't really
that depends
drag a lake as a civilian.
Yeah. It's not like if you're looking through like
can't
woods
really help.
like
but
a forest.
I wouldn't like if I went home, like I wouldn't be able to sleep anyways. I wouldn't be, so I would just feel more comfortable being there.
Yeah.
In case like
something did pop up.
Yeah. Like she walks up and she got turned around in the woods or something.
Yeah.
Like I would be searching the area. I don't know. It just was very bizarre to me. I took note of it because I was like, what the fuck do you mean go home?
Can't do that.
Yeah. And then they do though. Yeah, and then they interview Georgie, Garrett, and Iris. Iris is June's mother, and Garrett is, I'm assuming, her dad. But Garrett, it kind of gets left to the wayside throughout the whole story. Yeah. It's mainly Iris we focus on. And then we interview Jason, who is Alice's boyfriend, or I put maybe Alice's boyfriend because of the picture of her like hanging over his shoulders.
They didn't explicitly say it at this point.
Yes. Yeah. They say it at the end though. And, but then, yeah, they're interviewing the dad and he's talking about the porch light. I don't remember what they asked him, but he was just like, I remember we had the porch light on, still do, just in case. Like, and they're like, in case of what? And he's like, in case she comes back.
Yeah.
And
the little awkward chuckle. And then into like sad realness.
I didn't trust the dad at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, this dad is sus.
He was a bit like too nonchalant about it, and just kind of laughing and talking about everything. So like, while meanwhile the mom's like, my daughter.
Yeah, everyone grieves in different ways. Yeah, but it just at first I was like, is he the bad guy? Like, did he do something to her that got
rid of her?
Yeah, that made her want to die or something. And I just didn't trust him. And especially during his ghost encounter, whenever she goes rigid and stuff, because he's there, like that made me, I was like, nope.
Yeah. Like, what did you do to merit that, to deserve that?
Yeah.
But, you know, she's gone because unfortunately on December 24th we have a body that is found.
Merry Christmas.
I know, it's such a horrible way to spend your Christmas Eve. And
Iris even says that later. She's like, it was weird knowing, like, spending Christmas with the family while Alice was in the morgue. And we just like were there and
everything
missing someone.
It's crazy. And that's really sad. And that's a reality for some families. So sorry to you guys. It really makes you count your blessings, you know. But we have mom and dad who go to the, you know, morgue to go identify the body. But mom stays in the vehicle, which dad is saying that he thinks that after, you know, in hindsight, that wasn't a great idea because she didn't really get closure in seeing like the actual body. He goes in and IDs it, and the movie has like guts to just like, here's the body, boom. And then, and it's just like, and I was just like, oh, my bad. All right. She looks rough.
Yeah, I think I've watched so much Forensic Files, and Forensic Files will show you like
actual human bodies.
Yeah. And like real crime scene photos. And it's never like quite that explicit.
They're more kind of,
it's like you can see like their feet.
Yeah.
And stuff, but like it's definitely still the dead person on the television. So to me, I was just like, okay.
No, I was like,
she was really waterlogged and pretty gross. Kind of reminded me of like Samara.
Yeah, very much that. And she was about 3-4 days, something like that, in the water.
Yeah, because she went missing December 20th or 21st. Yeah.
3 days.
So 3 days in the water.
She looked honestly rougher than 3 days worth of being in the water.
She
Although
did.
I do not know what water does to body like that after death.
Yeah.
But her body, there's an autopsy happening to her body on the 27th of December. And then her body was released. Was it the next day on the 28th?
Yes.
Is that what it was? Yeah. And the family is all just kind of talking about, the death and how they're having to deal with grief. And then there's other people who are getting interviewed who are talking about how like sorry they feel for the family and stuff and what they're going through. But overall, the general consensus is it's like leading up to, because they're all like, but what we weren't, we didn't know what was coming next. Like it's going to get worse. And it's really setting up like what the movie's setting up, which is that after 10 days after her funeral, some spooky shenanigans started happening.
On the day before my birthday. 15th of January. Can we talk about how when they were going on their way back into town from the lake and identifying her body and stuff, that the car only worked in reverse?
Oh, that was weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they had to drive into town backwards.
Yeah. It made me feel like maybe like it was almost like that was symbolic of like almost rewinding time and getting to a place where she's not gone. And
yeah, I can see that.
She is like I feel like her spirit was probably in the car with them.
I was about to say,
and
do you think it was supernatural that happened?
Yeah.
Right, probably. That's crazy though too.
I've never heard of it.
And also, if you're like, my only option is to drive in reverse, I probably still wouldn't do that.
No.
No.
Even though like it looked like a pretty clear and open road, but I'm still like, I would just be like,
I would find a way to crash.
Yeah.
It's really hard backing up too.
Yeah.
Like even just like small distances, like I'm thankful even with my camera and I'm still like right? Theoretically, I should just keep that thing straight, right?
Well, you think.
But then like I'm always like, you always have to adjust a little bit and then you overcorrect and then,
or you do it the opposite way.
Yeah.
Than what you're thinking, and because it's all backwards.
It's too much pressure. I need chauffeurs. Chauffeur me everywhere.
Yes, that would be nice. But yeah, that was, I just thought that little fact was weird. But yeah, on the 15th of January, stuff started happening around the house, like old, like movements and stuff happening on her room. Like they had to take the door off the hinges because it kept slamming shut and doing other weird things. And they were hearing noises from her room, which I think was Brett Toohey in the room,
like snooping around
looking for things.
That could explain it.
Yeah.
Also, how is he getting in and out?
I don't know, but
they never
June
go into
just
it.
walks into other people's houses too. So maybe it's at a time when in Australia where people just, because this is based in Australia too, by the way, because there were a few times where the accents weren't as heavy as I thought they would be. But then there are times when they were driving on the wrong side of the road. Yeah. Or the opposite side of the road.
From
Not
us.
necessarily that it's wrong.
Yeah.
But in America, it would be wrong. And so I at first was like, what the hell are they doing? And then I was like, oh, right. This is not
Works
America.
Different. Their toilets spin the other way around.
Everything's backwards.
And so we have Jude. Oh, it also gets mentioned that after all of that stuff and in coordination at the same time, June is starting to have these nightmares of basically Alice. And and you're right, this is where she says that she at times would not even want to have the dream. So she would go for late night walks that would end up being hours long. And she would literally go into neighbors. I don't know if they're strangers or just, I don't know whose homes. So she would go into people's homes because she said she would want to basically just kind of like be in other people's lives for a moment, be out of her own, which is really wild. And I love how she also was just
so
like,
creepy.
She says it so like
she's like matter of fact. Like,
yeah. And I would go sometimes into other people's homes and just like, and I'm just like
everyone
like
does
it's
this.
like it's not illegal, like it's not breaking and entering.
Yeah.
And I guess because she felt like she didn't do anything necessarily like wrong to anyone, that it was okay. but that's still pretty creepy. And I also am trying to imagine, like, how would she just randomly go to houses and be like, oh, this one's locked, I guess not this one, and then another one, oh, I guess this one's open, that means
that's what
I
the
can
Night
come
Stalker
in.
did.
Like, yeah, essentially.
Or the Golden State Killer, one of them.
Right. Just whoever would leave their house open. It's kind of almost like, well, you're inviting me in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, she was doing that. And her nightmares, she, like we said earlier, was Alice coming down the hall dripping wet from the dam. And then she would just stand there at the end of the bed. Crying. Yeah. And like needing help. And then she said that her nightmares were so bad that she wouldn't want to open her eyes either, though, because she knew that like Alice was there at the foot of the bed, and she was too scared.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was, I mean, it's a traumatic death, obviously. So it would make sense to have traumatic nightmares about it. But as we find out later, is they were connected.
Yeah. And because
Alice had the same dream, from the other perspective.
And then we kind of cut to, I think, the friends getting interviewed again, that couple, and then cut to the coworker
Frederick
of Russell, Frederick, who is basically just like, they're kind of getting some exposition from him, and you know what Russell was like after everything happened, and he was basically saying like how he was kind of worried for Russell because he wasn't necessarily expressing or showing any like sad type of grief emotions. He was just like drove right into his work, and
this is where I wrote Dad is sus.
And didn't talk about the accident or Alice a lot, and he was being very what's the word, like dismissive, disassociative, like just like not dealing with it. Like
put it on the back burner,
put it under the rug. And so they are talking to him a lot, and then we get to the night in February, right? When Russell sees her in the room.
Yes. Yes. And so he's saying that he just was going into her room, as I'm sure grieving parents would do. It sits down at her desk and then is sitting there while Allie's ghost, they called her Allie sometimes too, little nickname, but Alice's ghost walks in and just like sharpens a pencil and then goes and checks through her cell phone for a text message or something. And then he says it happened so quickly, but my shoe squeaked or something. I made a noise and she just went rigid. And then she turned around and was yelling at him like in his face and charged him, basically saying, "Get out, get out, get out." And he said it was terrifying. And then we cut to June and she's like, I heard him crying in the next room. And she just like, and Maddie saying, I believe he saw a ghost. And Frederick says that as well. Frederick's like, whether it was a ghost or not, Russell's not one to make up these sorts of things.
And whatever he saw, like honest, shook him, whatever it was. And so then we cut to I think the neighbors again talking about Matthew, and they're saying how he is spending or everybody's talking about how Matthew is kind of now becoming reclusive, spending more in time by himself and being quiet, getting into his photography, and learning from that. Or well, his bestie comes up first. He's talking to I forget his name, but he and his bestie Steve
Wilkie.
They were in a band together. They would play music. Steve's basically saying how like he didn't really necessarily see too big of a difference in Matt because he was already a really quiet person before, but that he did notice that like he was obviously anybody would be like a bit affected from what that experience is, and
get a little reclusive.
But I think it definitely also gave just like what young teenage boys just sit there and talk about their feelings and emotions. You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. So they're probably just doing what guys do and just like what his dad was doing essentially, and not dealing with it and compensating with music, and then like we see here in a second, he starts to learn from the blonde dude Clive about photography,
and he started coming into the doctor. We get his doctor in this moment too.
That's right.
Talking about all these weird bruises that were appearing on his body. And the bruises were bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I have the video.
It was like his,
They were big bruises.
It was like his whole shoulder. He had one on his sternum and then like on his arms and stuff.
It looked like lesions, like just.
Yeah, they like,
huge.
It's like somebody like took a bat to him or something. Like, he was beat up. And, they never really are able to establish a cause for them, but they just magically went away one day. And with everything else, I'm wondering if he caused them himself and like wasn't able to. Maddie's got a really weird way of coping.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's humanly possible to like create them, right? And then for them to go away.
I mean, like, I'm saying, like, he was, like, hitting himself and, like, injuring himself.
No, but the doctor said that they also went away, like all at once, not, like, they dissipated, like, over time.
Oh. I thought he was implying that they just, like, eventually they just stopped appearing.
No. Like, he implied that they were presenting, and that's the reason they couldn't figure it out is because they went away. Like, they literally just, like, and then he came back in and they were gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So to me, but I do see what you mean that yes, maybe he could have been injuring himself because he was also making the thingamabobbers.
Yeah.
But he never addresses it, and it's never gets addressed again.
Yeah. No, it was just a weird, like, I don't know, factoid that they threw in just to cause more weirdness and make things spooky, I guess.
And then we have him presenting us with, or the documentary people asking him about his little project about taking pictures in the backyard.
Yes.
And he every day for, I guess, since they moved into the house, would take a picture of the backyard.
For 4 years.
The same shot every time.
Same composition.
To just do a time lapse, essentially. And that... I don't remember how much time had passed since her passing.
It was April 29th.
So
Alice was in the photo.
So some months. And he ends up capturing a shot, and she is just standing there in the backyard.
Yep. Very
spooky girl.
Just there. And it's full body apparition. Like, I was like, damn. Because at the photos that they showed at the beginning of the film, whenever it was like, with the voiceovers and stuff, were very ghost photography. So I figured at some point I thought he was going to get into ghost photography, like really become obsessive with trying to capture his sister's ghost. Not that he would
just
create accidentally do it. Yeah. But yes, in all those first photos, it was very wispy and not very full-bodied images. And this one was, like I said, a full-body apparition that came through, which is very rare to catch on camera. It's not impossible, but like people do have photos they can't explain with pictures. Like I've seen tons of ghost photos, but yeah, this one was like clear as day. She's there.
Like too good to be true.
Yes. And then we find out that Alice is in lots of photos.
Yeah.
She's in the photos of the dam that whatever his name was took pictures while he was serving. Yeah, something like that. And he was like basically surveying the land. I guess he owned it or something. And
took pictures, and it looked like she was standing way in the background. And then that time, and it is like it's not like it's as clear, because it does obviously seem more like what's not blurred but distorted, because it's way out of frame, you know.
And the pixelation of it is all wonky, but it looks similar enough to her of what like long dark hair, or at least what looks like long dark hair from a hoodie and stuff like that.
And so all of these like kind of new almost like evidence, I guess you would say, even though I guess it's not necessarily evidence, and all of the spooky going on ends, and then Matt, recording all of these things. Because the dad, I think this is where June is mentioning that she wants to get the body exhumed.
Yes, June became convinced that Alice was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And Russell was saying she was so convinced that she was still alive.
And that he made a mistake.
That he started, having doubts and being like, did I misidentify my own daughter because I just made it up in my mind already that she was dead? And, the person that was on that, like we saw the body, it looked like her, but also didn't look like her. Mm-hmm. And it was very undistinguishable and rough. And so he was starting to doubt, like, maybe I did fuck up. And so they have her body exhumed to test the DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get and it doesn't take long. We get DNA confirmation that it actually is her body that's down there. So as soon as we're thinking like, okay, that's going to show that it isn't her body, and she's around somewhere, it's like, oh, okay, well then she really is dead. So then it's kind of making you feel like, okay, well then I guess that is her ghost and walking around. And because the stuff is still going on, they're still getting plagued by these weird things going on. So even though they got confirmation that she's dead, they're still not done with this. And Matthew decides to set up cameras everywhere in the house because he wants to record something to see what's going on. Yeah,
he keeps hearing noises out in the hallway and coming from her room or something. And so he was like, I'm going to set this up, see if I can catch anything. Mm-hmm. And then June 13th, 2006, there's some figure moving from the lounge room to the front door. And he's like, well, shit, I caught something.
Yeah.
And it looks, you can't tell. To me, I thought it looked male.
I thought it looked like a guy, not a female.
I was like, I don't think this is Alice. Mm-hmm. And then turns out it wasn't.
Yeah.
And my immediate thought was like, shit, someone broke into your house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to call the police.
that, and then I also immediately saw the other thing in the mirror.
Oh, really?
I saw it. Like, I thought that's what he was gonna see. Like, I thought that it was about to zoom in on that and be like, look at
the person.
That. Yeah, but then like 5 seconds later, the fat it gave aliens whenever the alien walks by in Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
I like yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Not alien, signs. Why did I say signs?
I was trying to think of the name.
Yeah,
I was like,
alien and signs. Yes.
I knew what you meant though.
Yeah. And they're like, he's over there. He's over there. Look, and it just like goes by real fast.
Yeah. Because it was pixelated, much like our last episode.
Yeah.
By the way, we should formally apologize for that on here, but
we were plagued by a
demon.
Yeah, spooky.
But
spooky
one
demon.
listener said it was Jeff.
Yeah.
He said that his Spotify just kept quitting on him too, and it like wouldn't play the episode. I was like, "Damn, we're real haunted."
Demons just want to keep us down.
Yeah.
Thanks for still listening, you guys. And we are capturing this figure on camera, and so they end up contacting Miss June. Contacts a psychic named Ray. And he comes through. We get a little bit more on Ray, and exposition on him. And he's like a person who does like kind of like where we're at right now. He's in a studio and has like a psychic radio talk show host talk show. Is that a talk show?
It seems like it.
Is that considered a talk show?
Yeah.
Is that a talk show? Radio show? That's a radio show.
Yeah.
My bad. Anyways, but a radio talk show. But she ends up calling in and is wanting some help with what they're going on and just kind of telling him what's happening. And he ends up consulting with her on the 15th of June. So just a few days after they capture the figure. And we get like video recorded footage of their whole consultation.
Yes, because he records all of his consultations, especially for if the volunteer of sorts is going under hypnosis and is in some sort of trance. And so that way they can like go back and look at it for their reference. And then also I'm sure it just protects him as well. So
people can't say that shit went down when nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly. And he also mentioned in his like first little thing, like mentioned how in olden days and in certain cultures, they cover mirrors to stop the dead from finding their way back. And that I thought played in to part that Matthew used mirrors in order to show her. Yeah. And so that I just thought that tied in a little well there. And then also, but I think she found her way back when they went in the car. I think they went back together in reverse. I think she was with them the whole time and not like coming through mirrors.
Yeah. That's interesting. Like whenever they were going to identify the body.
Yeah, after they identified it, I think she like came back with them.
That's interesting.
That's, I mean, that's just what I think.
Symbolism. And so we have them talking, right? And he's putting her in trance and he's making her go into the, like close her eyes and go into the, picture herself walking into the house. And then she pictures herself walking all the way up. All the way to Alice's bedroom. She sees that Alice's sneakers are outside her room, just like she always leaves them outside of her door.
Yeah.
And then she goes in, and then she's just looking into the bedroom. She doesn't see Alice, right?
No, she does see Alice sitting in the wicker chair at the end of her bed, and she says she looks sad.
Yeah. And I don't, my notes skip. What does she say? Anything more about that?
No, my next note is Ray proposed a seance.
Yeah, because he comes for dinner. That's my note. Yeah, Ray's here for dinner, and yes, he wants to perform a seance, but Russell is refusing outright from the get-go. He doesn't want to do it. Everyone else is pretty much down, and it doesn't really show them really convincing him at all. But we do end up holding the seance.
Yeah,
like it just happens.
He's a part
anyways.
of it.
Yeah,
too. So.
And they do that, and Matt records it, and they're able to see that after the fact, when Matt has gone and like revisited the footage, that there was Alice in the kind of all the way in the background, super background. Her apparition was there, and so it's kind of making everybody feel like even more like she's trying to reach out, like she needs help. They need to do something about this. It cuts to other people like the police. Talking about their skepticism of Ray, and how they feel like, and even Ray talking about how like he knows that people thinks that he's just there to like basically make a buck off of them and off of their tragedy.
And he also admits that this is unfamiliar territory for him, that he had never seen a ghost before. And I was like, you're a psychic.
Right? Not helping yourself here.
Yeah, I was like, shouldn't you? But I mean, that doesn't mean all psychics are like clairvoyant and stuff, like
or like ghostly
inclined. Maybe he can communicate and like hear. Maybe he's clairaudient, I think is how it's called. When you can like hear ghosts and hear like disembodied voices. I think I've
never even heard of that. I didn't know that was a thing.
I could also be pronouncing it wrong.
No, that's cool.
I have no clue.
That's terrifying, though. That's even worse. You sure that's not just schizophrenia?
Probably is diagnosed that way sometimes.
Yeah, right. And so they are all talking about how they don't believe it, but then all of that is, not helped, and because then we have the couple, the Withers couple. A video of theirs comes out where they were at the dam at one point, I guess, whenever Bob took that video of what we thought, or picture of what we thought was Alice. But come to find out when they zoom in on it. And also this couple is super like, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they were giving, but it's Matt. They zoom in and it's Matt that was there.
Yeah. And that was immediately what I thought. I was like, that's Matthew.
Yeah.
And then they were like, it's Matthew. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, it's Matthew.
And so then we get to learn, and everything gets dumped on us and really like, just that, like, yep, here you go. Like,
Here you
Matt
go.
is just like, yeah, you know what? I did that. I came up with everything. I've doctored all the photos. I just told my dad exactly what I did. I told him everything. And he shows how he doctored the photos because he did it with, like, you know, putting some images on top of other images. And then how he came up with the video was he put old videotapes of Alice reflected onto a mirror and then recorded that from the mirror, and then just like basically with, you know, editing magic cropped out certain parts, and you know,
the TV,
you know, probably made it so dark that you could only see what he wanted you to make out and see. And so he did all of this because his mom had that, you know, whole thing of wanting the body to be exhumed, and he knew that unless he kind of stoked the fire around it, that the body wouldn't be exhumed and they would kind of still be where they were, where his mom was just in this not distraught, but just kind of like depression and just like really stuck,
this
and not
sense
being
of
able
unknowing,
not being able to move on. And so that was basically a twist.
And his reasoning, and it was all like, oh, okay.
At this point, it's like the movie decides, like, we're going to give you a twist. And then it just like every probably 15 minutes, it's like, here's another one. You know what? Here's one more.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's turn it around one more time. Because it kind of introduced, because then a lot of stuff started happening. Like next, kind of shortly after this, we start to learn that June wasn't very close with Alice in a way per se, that like, I guess, you know, where they had like a, you know, mother-daughter, we tell everything type of relationship. But that's also because June and her own mother didn't have a very warm relationship, where her mom also says that she couldn't necessarily get too close to June.
Yeah. And says, and it's maybe something I got from my mother, and it's just this chain reaction that happened to where all of these mother-daughter relationships were not as concrete as maybe they seemed or wanted to be.
Yeah. So creating women who are more or less like kind of more secretive and private, you know, and aren't so transparent. And so since June was that, Alice was like that, so much so that she was like that with her friends and even, you know, the family. And so when Matt ends up leaving with Ray to go on this cross country 3-day little trip or whatever to do work, he leaves cameras to record at the house because he still felt like he should leave them on just in case. And he knew that even though they were going to be gone a while and they would die and he would only get like, you know, not a lot of footage, that he would just leave them on. And so it's a good thing he did, because this is where they end up catching some really creepy footage.
Yeah. They catch Brett in the act.
Because her mom is reviewing the footage. Yeah. And she's like going over it, and she's like, I realized that there was something else in the footage. And yeah, it's Brett Toohey. And she immediately goes to Alice's room and knows exactly where Alice's hiding spot is, I guess, for her
safe. Yeah.
Safe.
Maybe they were open about some things, but I don't know. I also would be like, my own curiosity. If my daughter told me she had a safe, I would be like, well, what the fuck you got in there?
And also, why hadn't she gone? Like, your daughter died months ago. Why has you not gone through it at this point already?
Yeah.
Because I feel like she would have already and seen the tape there months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess maybe she couldn't bring herself to it because
I'm sure it was probably too hard to like, because then that's
accepting that she's actually dead.
Exactly. And she wasn't able to.
And she's like, I can't betray her trust and go through her things. But if she comes back, she's gonna be so mad at me if I went through her things.
Exactly. And
she should have, because what do we find out?
It's a fucking sex tape.
It's a sex tape
/ possible assault tape.
Yeah. Which awkwardly gets played a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. We could have just got the gist without
sex happening. Yeah. And I was like,
well, it's just more awkward too, because she's 16. So she's supposed to be underage. So that's just weird. But
who knows when this took place?
That's
like
true.
She could have been 15.
That's true. Oh, that's true. Yeah, or younger. So,
Yeah.
or how long it started, because she's having an affair. I don't know if they're both a part of it, because that's not really an affair. Then she's having sexual relations with the couple, because it's not just him; it's both the wife and the husband.
Okay, and
from
so
next
it
door.
was the adults. It wasn't like an older son, right?
No, it was the dad.
Brett was the dad.
That was the dad and wife.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah, no, they
because
had no.
they had that one family photo.
They had a 9 and a 5-year-old. Yes, but
yeah, but then there was like multiple older men in that photo, and one looked like slightly like college age or something, and so I thought that maybe Brett was like an older brother or something. That
no, I'm pretty sure. I'll rewatch it, but I think that was Brett.
Yeah.
I think the college looking guy was Brett. Those were
Okay.
his 2 kids. I'm pretty sure that was June and Russell in the picture.
Okay.
Not the the Tuies.
Okay.
That's why. So the dude who looked college aged, I'm pretty sure that was actually Brett.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who the other,
because
there were 5
they showed
people in that
him
picture.
later. But yeah, that's what I got confused about, was because I saw an older couple, and then I thought that maybe like, yeah. But I also did think that Brett was the dad.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure. So.
No, definitely the couple, the father, the son, and the Holy Spirit. No, the father and the mom that were next door of the 9 and the 5-year-old. Yeah, doing that with her. Creepy.
Yikes.
And so, yeah, which leads to a whole, like, I guess, wild goose hunt chase across wherever, because they end up going missing, I guess, which we don't get much of that, because it's like, then how did they go? How did they leave? Like, because I don't. Anyway, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that needs more explaining, or we need like an in-depth, like, limited series show, because
how, I mean, I guess they just went on the run and didn't, but like, how do you go on the run with children and not settle down somewhere, unless they like left their children with
explain
a grandparent or something?
And then how did they find out to go on the run? Because like, did she obviously, got the thing and then went to the police with it, but like, how did they know to run? You know what I mean? So
maybe they just decided after they couldn't find the tape that they were like, oh shit,
get out of here.
Time to get out.
Which maybe we could have missed that, and it was said in like a brief 2 seconds or something like that, while taking notes. But yeah, they're gone and literally never to be seen again, I guess, because the movie doesn't say that they were found.
Yeah.
And so we have then also in the same, like, all of this stuff that the mom's finding out with the sex leak and everything, she's like, and also I found in her diary, that's in there because she's been reading her diary, that there was a contact card, a business card for Ray.
Yeah.
The psychic that she's literally been working with already. And she had, what are the chances too? That's so, like, what are the chances?
I know.
She ends up contacting Ray, and Ray's just like, yeah, I had already seen the daughter. I've seen your daughter already, but out of
honoring Alice's request for confidentiality.
I'm like, she's dead.
Yeah, I know. And I said, I kind of feel like that goes out the window when someone dies.
Yeah, and also especially if
there's a police investigation,
and there's also like the common interest of like, this is her mom and dad and family now asking for you. I think it's in the best interest to then say like, yeah, oh yeah, I did speak with, like,
your daughter.
It might actually help.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah.
that whole, I was all very suspicious to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I was like, what the hell? I didn't appreciate Ray in that moment.
And the family as well, because it does explain that they were pissed off with him. And even I think right now Matt's talking about how like he doesn't understand how someone who gets so close to a family, like, you think he would have told them about that, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we cut to June reading more, I think, about the diary entries and stuff. And then this is when how we come to finding out about like what happened at Lake Mungo.
Yes.
With the girls' phones recording.
It's she's reading the diary entry from May 12th about her dreams, and it's definitely, in this moment I was like, this sounds related to her mom's dream.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, so it was happening like this is all overlapping. And we get that Lake Mungo's in South Wales, and they look at this very, very grainy and super moving around like flip phone video, super low quality
Very
video from Kim's or whatever, the blonde
like
Bob.
this was filmed on a Razor.
Yeah. Or maybe
Or
not
less.
like a Nokia like brick
Yeah.
almost. I mean, I know those didn't have cameras, I don't think.
But something like it.
But yeah, one
or
of
like the
those.
flippy ones, like
Yeah.
the really early type of flip phones. Yeah.
And yeah.
No, you go lead. You're good. Take it away.
But they're back, and they're taking this video, and it's really difficult to tell what is happening in the video the whole
Horrible
time.
quality.
Yeah. It was like, even when it did kind of focus on someone's face, it was like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, who is this? You couldn't distinguish anything. But then at some point they're like, well, we saw Alice in the background burying something.
Who?
Yeah. And
Right?
I was like, how can you tell anything from this video?
And then when they say that she's burying it too, I'm like, how? Yeah. And they're
How
like,
do you know?
And then they're like, after like further like analysis and review, I'm like, it's the same video. And even if you like zoom in more, it gets even more blurry.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so that was weird.
it barely looked like a person to me burying
Yeah.
something. But I mean, I could see the blob that they were referring to. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so they find out that she's burying something and that she's upset about something. But the blonde girl is saying, like, we don't really know what. And basically it kind of goes back to what she said earlier with the Alice kept secret. She kept the fact that she kept secrets a secret, which she said right after they found the sex tape.
Yeah. Along with all of her other friends being like, oh, we had never
And
thought she would
Jason's
ever
confirmation
do
that it was her, that they were partners.
because he was like, I wouldn't have like been with her if I knew she was doing that. And all of her friends are basically just like, she was a different person, I guess, with us because we didn't know she would do that.
Yeah. It definitely seemed like she was being coerced.
Yeah. And then we have
the family actually going out to Lake Mungo, in February of 2007. Yeah. And really going out on a limb because they were like, well, we saw the tree that she was like in the photo. So it must be somewhere around the base of that tree. And so they're going to find what she buried. And they just start digging. And I was like, at night, so they're not suspected.
Yeah. And they end up finding her, like, it's all like a little bit too unreal, but they end up finding her actual stuff.
Yeah. A little plastic bag, which they had mentioned before that she went to Lake Mungo, came back without her cell phone that they had bought for her a month prior, and without her favorite bracelet and things like that. Like some of her most cherished possessions were all missing. And she said she had a good time, but it was clear like that she didn't.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But yeah, inside this bag, they find
everything.
Her ring, her watch, necklace, cell phone. And then this is where we get the line that we had at the beginning where she says, I feel like something bad has happened. It just hasn't reached me yet. Going back to the tape of her with Ray, right?
Yeah. And then we're with her talking to Ray, and we're just getting kind of exposition basically about what she saw that night that she was out there at Lake Mungo. And essentially we do have phone recorded footage. Is it her recorded footage?
Yes.
Right? It's from her. Yeah.
That was why they found it after they found her phone.
And then we're able to get it. So they are seeing her recorded footage, and she's explaining to Ray what you were saying, right? And at the same time, this like figure, I don't know if she's walking up or it's walking up to her essentially, but we're getting closer. And then the music in the background, the tone, it's all shifting. Like we get this like kind of like ominous, like, you know, score. And then it's like right in your face of like her essentially, but like in her drowned state. And it kind of just pauses on that frame for a moment, and then it unpauses, and then I guess like she gets attacked by it, or like it just like the camera, the phone kind of gets
I think
moved a little bit, and then there's a
she
little
gets
tussle, or she
spooked
or
and
falls
she
or runs. Oh, okay.
I think she started running.
Okay. And yeah, they're all kind of talking about, I guess they think that she potentially saw a ghost. Some of them think that she actually saw herself.
Maddie says she recorded the future coming to her. She caught a ghost on camera and it was her own.
Yeah, from the future, which was like another idea coming in, like, oh, what? All right, cool. Like now we're breaking time and space, interstellar. Cool. And so after all of these things transpired, though, and they feel like they had came back from like Mungo and they returned to the house, it does seem to them that everything is more calm, that there's kind of a sense of ease.
And they're feeling more like a family again.
They're able to kind of go out and do things, and more or less. And the dad is also explaining it, that he's like, I don't know if we necessarily have helped really anything or done anything to help her spirit move on. But for us, we're kind of choosing closure. We're choosing to move on. We're choosing to kind of let her go and move past this. It's kind of something that we need to do to heal. And they've decided that they're going to move as well. Because I think at this point, it's been like 6 months since they were at the lake and everything kind of happened. And they're throwing a party, like a going away party.
Yeah.
We're getting more of them just kind of being it's like they're pretending like almost like or they're choosing to be very like, okay, we did it, like we're done, that's all, we don't have to deal with it anymore, we're gonna move and this is done. And then we get like June's last consultation with Ray.
Yeah, because she is like, it's been 6 months since we had this issue with him. And, I just kind of decided to give him a second chance. And we have her consultation kind of overlapping with Alice's consultation. And she's going into the room. They're both in their hypnotic state, and they're inside the house. And June is moving into the bedroom, and she's saying Alice isn't here. And then Alice is saying she doesn't know I'm here. And then she says she's going now. She's leaving the room. And while Alice is saying this, we get a picture, like we get a video of June walking through the house one last time and like closing the door on Alice's room, like a very finalization of this chapter of their life. And then we get Alice saying she's gone. And then we get a photo of them in front of the house. Is like, we get the car driving off and stuff, but then it flashes to a photo of Maddie, June, and Russell in front of the house. And it looks seemingly like everything's okay, but then it zooms in on the window. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't see anything. I was like, I know I'm supposed to be seeing something, but I was like, I maybe
felt like a
see.
smudge.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like, a smudge that kind of was a little lighter. And I think they were trying to suggest that it was Alice still there, right? Probably. But...
yeah, I wrote Alice in the background, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it fades to black and we start getting the title, or like the ending credits. And then we get flashes of her in all the other footage that they took. Like there was one footage of them singing happy birthday to Matt, and him like it just being like a seemingly normal thing. But then they zoom in the corner and you see Alice in the back.
Yeah.
And then you see her in the backyard, the doctored photo. If you look over to the right of the photo, she's in the corner over there.
When they showed that photo earlier, I thought I saw something there in the corner as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then they like zoom in on her over here, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess she was there the whole time. So I figured it was like a plant, but it was. But it really
she was
sitting on the bench. Yeah.
Yeah. Her there. And then it eventually just goes to the ending credits in general. But yeah, I wrote very haunting of Hill House. I guess, well, actually, the Haunting of Hill House, like the book that it's based on, came out before this movie did. So
Yeah.
it could be based off of.
Inspired from the events of Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
When did that book come out? Like not like long time ago, or just like early 2000s, you think? I have no clue. And while you look that up, here are a word from our sponsors. JK. I will go into my B rating. I enjoyed the film. I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't like scare me out of
1959.
Oh, damn.
By Shirley Jackson.
Sense. Yeah.
Is when it originally came out. And The Haunting is
the name of it.
Well,
The Haunting, the movie that we watched.
Yeah, is
based
also
off
based
too.
off of that.
Which I should have known. The movie, I thought it was really good. I thought that it was really interesting. I thought that they did a really good job of like the actors did a really good job of making it seem like it was kind of like a real family, and like these were real people and not actors. The kind of twist throughout the movie that they had, I didn't necessarily like that Matt was the one doing things.
Yeah.
But then I guess they still have it being supernatural-ish in the end anyways.
Yeah.
But it just kind of is like when a movie does things and then it's like at the end you find out it was all in their head. It's kind of like, well, what was the point? Almost. So but I guess he did have a point, because it still worked for him to help get the body exhumed.
Yeah.
So it's still
a very bizarre reason.
A bizarre way of getting it done.
Yeah.
But then like, no, wait, we're actually haunted.
Yeah.
So, so I guess there's that element to it, but it was really good the way I feel like they, like the whole time I was pretty invested. I didn't feel like it was like, and it was even like with ads and stuff. And I thought like, oh, 'cause sometimes when they have ads, they kind of drag the movies sometimes. And it all kind of just went very fast for me. And the elements with like Ray and stuff, I thought that was all interesting. I thought that he added something to it. I kind of felt like it would have been really cool if this was kind of even like a 6 episode kind of thing, and you could focus on like a whole episode on like the first, like her going missing at the dam and all that, and then second episode is like stuff starts happening. Third episode is like Matt setting up, and then keep going, and then one with all of him figuring out his stuff, and then even delving back on like how he already knew her, and then that just added another layer to it, which was again really strange that he wouldn't tell them. But yeah, overall, I would give it like a 3.8, almost a 4, just because I thought it was a pretty solid story, and it's nothing that I don't think I've ever like. It kind of had elements of a lot of things, so it kind of felt like something original. Never seen anything really quite like it. We'll say probably could have used more like Mungo, like you said. But I think it kind of leaves me wanting a little bit more, and I think sometimes, depending on the film, like that's a good and bad thing, and I think it's okay here. Like it's good here. Sometimes it's kind of like, right, you should be fully satisfied and not maybe wanting more. But in this essence, it's kind of like, well, I want more, just kind of knowing the story and what's going on with everything, and maybe some more elaboration on things. But overall, just I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty entertaining. 3.8 for me. Booze.
Yeah, I agree with you, like wanting more. And I do think it was, I don't think it was like a bad thing either, but like it definitely kind of leaves you in the dark a little bit. And oh, interesting. I'm looking at my fun facts. But yeah, I'll get into it a little bit more in a second. I'll read fun facts first. But director Jordan Peele stated in a podcast with Keke Palmer that Lake Mungo is one of the movies that scared him the most.
That's cool.
I don't To me, this movie wasn't scary.
It wasn't.
But
it wasn't terrifying. It did give me a sense of like spooky.
Yeah.
But I also watched it. I also watched it this morning. So like midday, like or early day, I guess. But like sun in my room, like lights on ish. So
yeah,
I didn't have like
maybe
a spooky
if I
element to it.
would have watched it, yeah, because I
night.
watched it this morning as
or like
well.
late at night, like in a dark room by yourself. I don't know. But
yeah.
It definitely wasn't spooky. It was spooky. The one moment that to me that gave the spookiest was the moment when we got to see her video from her phone footage.
Yeah.
And it was coming up, and then it really added because they were playing like all of that like spooky like and like got built up crescendoed. But it could have gone further, I guess, essentially. Yeah. But maybe it was weird. It is creepy because of how it almost plays up on like, this just happened to a normal family. It's kind of real. It's like, it doesn't seem sensationalized or too like a big movie type of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was terrifying or like the scariest thing I've ever seen.
No,
I've seen scarier.
Yeah, definitely have. Wow. I mean, that Jordan Peele has come out with is scarier in my opinion. The idea of like Get Out is fucking wild, and it's a terrifying idea. And anyways, I said earlier that the place was in South Wales, but it's New South Wales, which is a part of Australia. Mm-hmm. I was thinking she got on a plane. But it says, although the film is fictional, Lake Mungo is a real place in New South Wales, Australia, and scenes in the film were shot there. Lake Mungo is a dry lake and an important archaeological site. In 1968, the remains of a young Aboriginal woman were uncovered, and she was nicknamed the Mungo Lady. She was found to be ritually buried, and her bones were approximately 40,000 years old at the time of discovery. Mungo Lady is one of the earliest anatomically modern human remains discovered anywhere in the world. 5 years later, another skeleton of around 40,000 years old was found at Lake Mungo and named Mungo Man. Very original.
No, for real. That's a long time ago, 40,000.
So maybe she was ritually burying her stuff there. I don't know.
They could tie in. There could be some explanation on that.
Yeah.
There could be a whole nother series on that.
Yeah, there definitely could. And I'd watch it.
Lake Ognum. It's just Mungo backwards.
Oh, okay.
Lake
I was
Ognum.
like, what's that?
Lake Ognum.
Let's see. The graffitied boulder seen at 6:48 minutes is a real location in Victoria, Australia called Sister Rocks. It was named after the three Levi sisters who were among the area's first settlers during the mid-1800s gold rush. Opinions are divided over the graffiti. Some say that the paint has ruined the natural beauty of the rocks, while others insist that the art serves as a unique guest book and only enhances the attraction of this popular spot. Some of the graffiti dates back to the 19th century. So that's cool. Not really about the film, but despite the opening monologue, well, no duh. This film is a mockumentary and is not based on real events.
It's not real? What?
What? Okay, let's see. Alice's phone, seen at 1 hour and 8 minutes in, is a Nokia 6600, released in 6600, released in June 2003. So it was some sort of Nokia brick.
That's crazy. And they could record a video?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. The neighbor can... Yeah. So basically... Oh, okay. This is more of a fun fact. They should have...
Led with this one,
yeah. The last name Palmer is likely a reference to Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks, which is a fantastic show. If you've never watched Twin Peaks, it's a fucking... I
know what it is, but I've never seen it.
It's... You want to talk about fever
like
dream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
a fever dream. And it's just like, what the fuck am I watching? But it's really good. Mm-hmm. But Laura Palmer is a character in Twin Peaks who's also knew she was going to die tragically before it even happened. She did not drown, but her body was dumped in the water and found washed up on the beach. The show also has some similar themes as the movie, including Laura having many secrets and living a double life. So that's a fun fact. Yeah, I liked that fact.
That's cute.
But yeah, so I just based off of the thumbnail photo of this movie and stuff, whenever you explained it to me and you were like, we should cover this, because I guess Mike maybe told us at some point.
A while ago.
Yeah. I felt like I remembered the name, but I definitely didn't look into it. So I knew nothing of it.
Same.
And you were like, maybe we should cover this. And I was like looking it up as we were talking. And to me, it looked super cool. And I was like, oh, this is going to be spooky and really creepy. So I went in with expecting to be really
Terrified.
scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it just didn't get to that.
It didn't. And but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I don't want that comment to be misconstrued as me being like, that's bad, because it definitely was a slow burn. And there was no real big, there were twists, but like you said earlier, it's more of a drama and not
to cut you off, sorry, but there were also I feel like there were certain points where you could have stopped it at 45 minutes in, 60 minutes in, and it still would have made sense. You could have cut it off at any time and it would have just been well, that's it. That's the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And but yeah, I thought it was an interesting movie. It was fun to watch. It didn't drag. I wasn't like, oh God, I have to watch this movie at any point during watching it. But it did leave me wanting a little more. And again, that's not a bad thing. A little more clarity. I appreciate all of the themes that it brought in. And with it potentially being a nod to Twin Peaks, I can definitely see that, where how the ending, when you think about time and whether or not it's linear and how it can overlap and stuff is wild. And I kind of felt the same way whenever we talked about Donnie Darko. And
that's what I was thinking of too.
Yeah, it made me just kind of question everything, which I appreciate. I think that's cool that it did that. Again, this movie is not personally scary to me. There were seeing her body. Well, again, it really didn't do much to me because I watch too much true crime. But and I'm very desensitized to, and I'm desensitized to horror too. At this point, we've watched over probably close to it's been 3 years now, which, by the way, our 3-year anniversary happened.
Oh yeah. A couple weeks ago.
A week and a half or so ago. Those of you on our Instagram knew that, but because I posted it. But yeah, we've been 3 years of movies,
scary movies.
And we used to come out with 2 movies a week for Halloween.
Yeah.
And so literally hundreds of movies. And at some point things stop scaring you. And it's rare when things do scare me. So this movie might, to some people, be very eerie and unsettling. To me, it wasn't. But I still think it was a good movie. I think all the actors, like you said, did a great job. I never questioned their ability to act or anything.
It seemed they really did get just people off the street and were like, here's a script.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. And or it made it feel
that's
like
how
a
good
real
of actors
family.
they were.
Yeah.
They seemed like they weren't actors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They literally seemed these seem like people from fucking Waco.
This feels like something real.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I love about found footage films.
I'm having an allergic reaction, I think, to the air.
Oh no. You
I'm
okay?
Fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
It's the Lake Mungo demon.
It is.
Alice is coming to you. But yes, I'll try and hurry it up.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But I forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, it's a good film, in my opinion. I think, that's what I love about found footage movies is the fact that the actors are so good at acting that they almost seem like bad at acting because they feel like if you were to put me on a camera, I would not be, which I mean, here,
yeah,
sure. But if you were to ask me and like put me on a camera, I tried to help out someone in high school with a film project and I was so fucking awkward
on camera.
Yeah.
Like reading lines. Like
reading lines. Yeah, scripted. And this didn't feel scripted, but it feels like
but that's
an everyday thing.
Like it obviously is scripted, right?
Yeah.
But they made it feel so unscripted.
That they were just, it felt like it really was this family that they did find. And like it was a true story.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And I appreciate it. So I think I will probably sit around with you around, I was thinking like
3.5 or something.
Yeah. I'll sit with you at a 3.8.
You know, and it's really it gives me like Hell House vibes too, like how we covered those, like in the Carmichael one, the fourth one, and how they kind of keep that like documentary kind of style of it.
It also reminded me of Taking of Deborah Logan.
Oh yeah,
with
very much like
how
that.
Heavily mockumentary style it was.
Really doing a good job of it, and never really also like breaking that element of it. And if anything, going even worse, because that was the best quality that we would get, and everything would be like either the cell phone video footage or like I was about to call him Andrew. Shout out Andrew.
Yay, Andrew.
Whatchamacallit? Matthew's recordings, which weren't even that much better as well. They weren't like HDK or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
HKD,
I almost said HDMI.
4D QIC quality.
4K.
4K. There you go. And so I think, overall, it was.
It's worth a watch.
It was worth watching. I just like you said, I almost feel like I was also expecting to be more terrified, because I have heard other people review it and talk about it, and people are like, this is so scary. It's such a scary film.
Yeah. And it has like a 95 or 93 or something on Rotten Tomatoes. So I was expecting something like life-changing.
Same, to be
honest. And it wasn't that. But it wasn't bad.
A good film. It was a good film. You know, and I honestly do think, though, too, like you said, we've seen a lot of scary movies. We have dark humor minds. Like, we just don't. Someone else would probably be like, you know? Yeah,
that's really creepy. Like, lots of people. I also wanted to kind of circle back to Paranormal Activity and because the ending of, for those of you who don't know, our Paranormal Activity episode got messed up. There was a really big lag, and
technical difficulties and issues that made the end of the episode a bit difficult to edit and get through and cut out. And then even as you heard, it wasn't a perfect episode.
Yeah.
Like we usually like.
And so it just, I don't know. People were scared of Paranormal Activity and terrified of it even. And they just were like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. And to me at the time, it wasn't. Yeah. And to me watching it back, it still wasn't. Was it spooky? The part, it did have one part that got me. Whenever the covers moved, I think that part kind of got cut out of the episode. But I do want to make it clear that whenever her covers moved, I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Because it reminded me of The Conjuring whenever her legs getting pulled.
She's tugged.
Yeah. The bed is a safe spot. Do not, it's a sacred place. Do not interfere with anything on the bed. Like the monsters are supposed to be under the bed, not on top of it.
With the covers. That's the what do you call it when you're playing hide and go seek or tag? That's like safe zone. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Base, that's
home base.
That's base.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it just, so that part did legitimately freak me out and made me say, ew, like, ugh, no, thank you. And one listener pointed out that, Emma pointed out that there is a really good documentary series over the Paranormal Activity films. And talking about like the cultural impact that it had and stuff. And I think I would be willing, like I would watch that. Yeah. And I think it would hopefully give me a higher appreciation for the film. I feel like maybe my 2.5 was a little harsh. But to me, I did want more.
Yeah.
But if I offended anyone with my 2.5, I'm sorry. I maybe could bump it up to a 3, but to me, it
stick to your guns.
It made me want more, and like in a bad way. Yeah. Like I was like,
not like this one in a good way.
Yeah. I was like
a bit disappointed.
Yeah. I was let down.
Yeah.
And it still was like a good film, but like to me, when I think of found footage and when I think of like cultural impact that found footage had, I think of Blair Witch. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think a Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
And I feel like Paranormal Activity just kind of tried to do something similar that Blair Witch did, and which a lot of found footage films do. Like
it's kind of like the blueprint.
Yeah, it is. And so like to me, that's like the level that I'm expecting from a found footage horror film.
Blair Witch is still terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Like that's
exactly.
creepy.
It is. And it makes me never want to go camping ever again. And just...
Or go into an abandoned house if you see it in the woods. Just don't do it.
Yeah. And then it makes me think of The Ritual whenever they went into that fucking house.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, why haven't y'all seen Blair Witch? What are you doing? Like, I don't know. It just... To me, I just don't understand the hype behind Paranormal Activity. I think is simply what it boils down to. But it's still, it was entertaining to watch.
I love how you're trying to be like, no, it's good, guys. It's good, but it's bad.
But it's bad.
But no, I feel you. I think that you have your opinion, and your opinion is valid, and it matters because there's every side of the spectrum. Like I'm sure there's probably someone who's like saw Paranormal Activity and was like, oh my god, that was the scariest shit I've ever seen, or something. Probably someone who's actually afraid of ghosts. Caitlin, you're not even afraid of like ghosts.
That's true.
You invite to see, like, you're like, hey ghosties, come here, like I want to be your friends. So you definitely
got some little treats for you.
Are on the opposite spectrum of what would spook you, I feel like, in terms of like Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, because I have seen so many full body apparitions and like straight up ghosts before.
Yeah.
And then now I will say, whenever I had the mimicking situation in my last house with Kitty and it mimicking Kitty in the like dark room, that time I was like overwhelmed with a sense of dread, and my whole body went like cold, and I was like, no, it's time to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And like to the point where I almost woke up my sleeping roommate, and then the one who was on the other side of where the noise was coming from, she was dead. I wasn't gonna save her, but
it's too late for her.
Yeah, he was. I was like, oh, it's already got her. So anyways, but yeah, so Paranormal Activity, just, it was good, but not my favorite.
Yeah.
And our boo ratings kind of got they got the short end of the stick last week. Because the demon was really
He was
trying.
mad that we were giving it a horrible rating.
Yeah. You gave it a 4.5 or something.
4.5. Did I? I honestly don't remember. I'm a different human being now. That was a week ago.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I think it was like a 4 or something.
When we do these.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's why I have to listen back to be like, what the fuck did I say? And I know that I say like too much and other things like that, but
that's never going to change.
It's not.
No, and it's already embedded in my system.
And it's just, it is a part of me. And especially whenever I black out and go on autopilot. Many coherent thoughts coming through my brain.
Just
I panic.
babbler.
I panic. Yeah. I'm a yapper, certified yapper.
We're all yappers.
That's why we have a podcast.
Yep.
But anyways, that's our thoughts on both 2008's Mungo. It was released in 2010 in the US, but originally in 2008 in Australia. And yeah, our thoughts on, we got a solid 3.8 for Lake Mungo, and then still a 3, probably like a 3.5 whenever we balance out our paranormal activity. But as always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
They always take good care of us. They do. And you can listen to a lot of podcasts that is not our podcast on their, whatchamacallit. You call it a website? That's a website at roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. And you can also find us on a slew of podcasting platforms, wherever you want to get your podcast, really. But the biggest two would be
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you want to reach out to us, let us know your thoughts on Lake Mungo. If it was the most terrifying thing you've ever seen, let us know if you had any difficulties listening to the paranormal activity episode, like if you were like Jeff and your whole Spotify just kept shutting down. I think one of my other favorite podcasts has the title of Most Haunted Podcast in America, but we're on the board now. We've got a haunted episode too. So
you can't sue us if you get sued, if you get haunted by proxy by listening to our podcast.
Yes, please no. And then also I did want to point out on our Instagram, we posted a lot of, and maybe I'll make highlights of them so that way people can view them all the time, or I'll just post them to the squares. But we had merch designs made for us, and they were made by my friend Annie, and her Instagram handle, if you ever need any, Annie has designed my business logo. She has designed sweatshirts for me before for my other business. And then every time I literally give her no instructions, or I'll just
the gist
word vomit ideas. And I'm like, for Sloppy Seconds, my vintage company, I was like, vintage, cowboy / old Vegas. And she came up, it was like she read my mind of exactly what I wanted. And then this time I literally told her Cunty Communion, Deputy Daddy, and I wanted it to look like a sheriff's badge. Yeah. And then Tink Tink with a knife. And that was literally all I told her. And she came up with it, and
some solid ideas here.
It was really awesome. And so if you would like to see those, if you ever need any work done, hit up her Instagram. It's at Annie, ANNIE _ WILDE. And that is, that's how you can get in contact with her. But she's designed for lots of big design groups and stuff in Waco and elsewhere. And she always does a fantastic job with everything I've ever asked of her, though. So if you would like to see those merch designs and / put in your vote for which ones you want to see turned into t-shirts, which ones you want to see turned into stickers and stuff, you can do that on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that's at
BooBaes podcast, and that's at BOOB. I can't spell. And that's at BooBaes podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're BooBaes, not your BooBabes. That's
right. And until next time, you guys, we're going to be covering some listener requests now. So
now is the time to get in those DMs and tell us what you would like us to cover. Yeah,
exactly. And we've got quite a list. I know that it would be really fun to cover some of Chantal's listener requests, because she's also a pretty avid listener. Yeah. And so I believe that's how you say her name. But yeah, I think that would be fun to cover one of hers. I forgot what they were. It was the terror something.
We'll have to take a look.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like gore.
Oh, okay.
So that would be fun. Yeah. But yeah, until next time, you guys, we'll let you know. Well, you'll see what we end up covering.
Until next time. Bye, BooBaes.
Bye, BooBaes. BooBaes.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.